who's as adamant about his or her position as I am about mine, whom you think is sharp. Seriously, we know that. And another thing, we heard him say that...
Hey, sports fan, Larry Elder here with episode number 37 of And Another Thing. Thank you so much for your subscriptions. Thank you so much for your patronage. Thank you so much for your caring. If you want to become an Eldorado, go to LarryElder.com, sign up, become an Eldorado. You're going to get a couple things. You're going to be able to watch the show whenever you want, time shifted, however you want to watch it, however you want to see it. It's yours. Secondly, you're going to get a copy of my award-winning feature-length documentary called Michael and Me, which is a documentary that's pro-Second Amendment, where 3 times we ask the esteemed director, I confront him the way he confronts other people, and I ask him 3 times, how many Americans use guns every year to defend themselves? And 3 times he responded in a way that was less than responsive. How about that? Now for today's topic. My question is this: when will left-wing people, especially young left-wing people who pull that lever for Obama, realize that his policies are not working? You guys pull the lever for Obama in numbers, the numbers of young people who voted were about the same, but the percentage of them that voted for the Democratic Party was a little bit higher. Obama got more votes from the white section than John Kerry did. The white vote has not been carried by the Democratic Party, by the way, since 1964, but Obama did better than even John Kerry, even though we're now hearing about how many white people didn't want President Obama to become a president. More white people voted for him than voted for John Kerry. Hello? In any case, young people voted for Obama in huge numbers because hope and change, promising all this wonderful stuff. What has it gotten you? At this juncture in the Ronald Reagan recovery, 4 years into the recovery, the economy was growing twice as fast as what it's doing right now. Last quarter GDP was 1.7. For a typical recovery, a recovery after the Second World War, this is pathetic. That's a 3-word syllable, pathetic. What's happened is Obama did the opposite of what Reagan did. Reagan, as you know, dramatically lowered taxes from 70%, the top marginal rate at the time, believe it or not, down to 28%. He also slowed down the rate of domestic spending. People say he cut domestic spending. He didn't. I wish he had, but he did slow down the pace of it. And he continued probably the only sensible thing that Jimmy Carter did the whole time he was president. 2 things. He deregulated the airlines, and he also put in Paul Volcker as head of the Fed in order to wring out the inflation. Too bad for Jimmy Carter that the inflation wasn't wrung out until after he left, but Ronald Reagan retained Volcker and continued Jimmy Carter's deregulation policies. This recovery has been historically the worst that we've had since the Second World War. In 80 years, this has been the worst recovery we've ever had. Historically, the deeper the recovery, the higher the bounce back. Let's take a look at the factors that made this a so-called Great Recession. Unemployment got to 10.2%. During the Ronald Reagan downturn, 80, 81, 82-ish, unemployment got to 10.8%. Inflation has been relatively moderate. I argue that it's actually higher than what people say it is, but the official inflation rate has been relatively moderate. I really dig how you cite left-wing sources to lay down the facts on things you talk about. That must drive the left crazy. What are some indisputable examples where President Obama has made the U.S. look weak or not worthy of respect? Let me talk about the first part of your question first, how I lay down left-wing sources. Let me give you a couple left-wing sources about the economy that I just now went off on. This is a writer from the Washington Post. He's a business writer, and he said the recovery isn't even mediocre, it is terrible. It's a sign of diminished economic expectations that it's anything to crow about at all, end of quote. The 1.7 GDP I just now mentioned to you, if you go back online and look at what some of the sources were saying, news sources were saying, it's the economy continues to grow, we're still growing, that kind of thing. And what this Washington Post business writer, who's nobody's conservative, is saying is the fact that people are crowing about 1.7 is pathetic. The other left-wing source on the economy is ABC. ABC called... I hope you enjoyed this small excerpt. If you want to see the full video, got to be an Eldorado. Go to my website, LarryElder.com, log in, fill out the form. It'll cost you about $4.75 a month, or about the price of a mocha frappuccino latte at your favorite coffee house. As you can tell, I don't like coffee. I'm a tea drinker. See you next time.